Hey writers, whether you're writing your first novel or you're just dipping your toe into creative writing, this video is for you. Today, we're talking about 5 super common mistakes that new writers make, and more importantly, how to fix them. And along the way, after each mistake, I'm going to tell you not only how to fix it on your own, but how to use AI to fix it as well. Now, if you've made any of these mistakes in your writing, don't worry. We all got to start somewhere. And trust me, we all have made those mistakes. But today we're going to find out how to correct them going forward. Hi, I'm Nancy Basile, and I'm a mystery author. You can find my latest mystery using the links in the description below. And big announcement, we hit 1,000 subscribers. Do you know what that means? That means I will be announcing a live video where I will be answering questions and giving away awesome prizes. So stay tuned for that announcement. And thank you to everyone who subscribed. I can't even begin to tell you how much it means to me, because you and me are going on this writing journey together, and together we're going to write the best books ever. These 5 super common mistakes, why should you not write this way? Well, it makes a big difference to your readers, believe it or not. Some of these mistakes can trip them up in their reading, and some of them can just make them check out. So we're going to talk about what they are and how to fix them. Let's break it down. First up is passive voice. You've probably heard someone say, don't use passive voice in this sentence. Well, what does that actually mean? Here's an example. The book was read by the girl. The book was read by the girl. Sounds kind of flat, right? That's passive voice. The subject of the sentence, the book, is acted upon. So the book was acted upon by the girl. In active voice, you would say, the girl read the book. Way more direct and punchy. In this case, the girl is the subject and she read, which is a much better verb, the book. Passive voice isn't always wrong, but it can make a big difference if you're using it all the time. It doesn't take the reader into the story as much as an active sentence does. So when you find yourself using passive voice, flip that. Let's jump into Pro Writing Aid, which uses AI to make your writing better, to see examples of how they take a passive voice sentence and flip it to active.
Okay, here we are inside Pro Writing Aid, and under the style reports where you can check grammar and style is a section where you can check for passive verbs. They are underlined throughout here as well. You can always hover over something to see what they're talking about within the app, but you can also then just click here to jump to them. So in this case, the passive verb is in the sentence, she'd never been stopped by one of the cops in the bullpen before. That's the whole sentence. And they're saying this passive verb is too weak for this sentence. So how could we fix that? Well, Pro Writing Aid can suggest rephrases. And let's see what they come up with. No cop in the bullpen had ever stopped her before. None of the bullpen cops had ever stopped her before. So if you wanted, you could click one of these and Pro Writing Aid would replace this passive verb with one of their suggestions to make it more, to make it stronger, to make it active. So in this case, the subject, a cop, their verb or their action was stopping her, as opposed to her being acted upon. The subject, she, being acted upon, been stopped. So you could choose one of these if you wanted, or you could leave it as is. If you don't have a lot of passive verb sentences, or you feel really strongly about leaving it as a passive verb sentence, you can do that. But if you're looking to punch up your writing or make it more impactful, you can use one of their suggestions.
The next mistake new authors make is using way too many cliches. It was a dark and stormy night, the calm before the storm. She was as cold as ice. These are phrases that have been used way too many times to have any kind of impact on the reader. They've lost their power. Instead of leaning on these tired expressions, you can try to think of specific ways your character would actually react or feel, or what they would actually do in this situation. Instead of the stormy night being a dark and stormy night, maybe the tree branches are clawing at the window, or maybe it's sending a shudder down their spine. Try to be more specific to create a better story and more impact with your reader. Let's take a look at how Pro Writing Aid would handle it.
So cliches are great, especially in dialogue or sprinkled here and there, like I said, to communicate exactly what you're trying to say, but you don't want to rely on them. Now, in this section of Jingle Bell Justice, I don't know. Here's the cliches report. You can see it's got some underlined. I'm not sure what they're talking about here. Let's see what they're talking about. She out. Why was she out there? I don't know how that's a cliche. It says potential. So here again, you can see AI doesn't always know what they're talking about. So don't just take the computer's word for it. You got to check this stuff out for yourself, and you might feel strongly about something. Let's look at this one. Bit her tongue. Now, they consider that to be a cliche because it's something people say all the time to mean that she was quiet. She stayed silent. So instead of saying bit her tongue, let's see what they don't recommend anything, but you could say Robin stayed silent. Robin said nothing. Robin kept quiet. I try really hard in many instances to come up with unique phrases. For instance, in one of the earlier chapters, Robin asks her sister how party prep is going, and instead of saying, it stinks or it's going over like a lead balloon, which would be a cliche, I say party prep took a poop in my punch bowl. So I came up with something unique and funny instead of relying on a cliche.
Next up, dialogue tags. Now, this was new to me when I first started learning about writing a book. As a reader, I never paid attention, and that's the point. Dialogue tags should not stick out, and they should not trip up a reader. What is a dialogue tag? It's when a character has dialogue and then it says, he said, or she questioned, or he muttered. Here are some more examples. I'm fine, she whispered dramatically. No, you're not, he growled angrily. Leave me alone, she shrieked. That's a lot of dialogue tags. So what do when you want to convey that same emotion, but you can't have all those tags that become repetitive and trip up readers? You use actions instead. For instance, leave me alone, she slammed the door behind her. That tells you a lot more than just she shrieked. Just like the other mistakes, let's go to Pro Writing Aid and see how they do it.
We have a dialogue tag report under more reports. And over here it says 4 dialogue tags found. So let's see what we've got. Robin added, and please no mailman jokes. So instead of this, they're saying to get rid of it, or or you could add an action. As the officer opened her mouth, Robin held up a hand, and please no mailman jokes. That would be an action instead of having a dialogue tag.
Now, this next mistake I get really paranoid about, and it's about using too many adverbs in your writing. Adverbs don't seem like they would be a bad thing, right? But if you use them too much to describe the action or what's happening or the setting, instead of relying on rich text and action verbs and colorful adjectives or actions within the scene, then you're relying too much on adverbs that end in ly and not enough on your writing and your imagination, and the reader will get bored. It also ties into show, don't tell. If you say, I'm fine, she said sadly, what does that really look like? What does she look like when she's sad? How does she sound? How does she move? So just saying sadly doesn't really cover it. Instead of relying on the adverb, you could do something like this. I'm fine. She wouldn't meet his eyes. Her fingers twisted in the hem of her sleeve. Now we're feeling the emotion along with the character instead of just being told about it.
Okay, this is an excerpt from Bright Girl, the detective story I just published in February. And the adverb report can be found again under style, where we found passive voice. And they also have, emotional tells so that you can show instead of telling. I'll have a video on show, don't tell in the future. So we're not talking about that right now, but we are talking about adverbs. Now, adverbs in dialogue, one adverb found in dialogue, I generally don't get rid of because that's how we talk. We talk in adverbs. I'm not going to get rid of this if only his kids knew what their dad was really like, because that's how people talk. So generally when it has an adverb inside dialogue, I ignore that. If you're seeing, however, 10 adverbs within dialogue, you might want to check on them just in case. But in this case, we're looking at 3 adverbs found outside dialogue. Use adverbs sparingly in your writing. So let's see what they're telling me I should get rid of. He clasped his hands loosely on the table. Now, I did not get rid of that adverb because I wanted to convey that he was trying to appear casual, but was actually really tense, because the full sentence is he clasped his hands loosely on the table, but a muscle twitched in his jaw. This is during an interrogation, by the way. So I kept the loosely. It's describing how his hands are on the table. I did not want to change that. If I wanted to change it, maybe I could have said, one hand lay on top of the other, or his fingers grasped each other, or I'm just making stuff up. But so I kept the loosely. Another one they have here, 2 finallys. Now, finally is one that it's very easy to fall into a trap of using too many times. So I make sure when I use the word finally, I really, really mean it. Bobby shook his head and finally met Erickson's gaze. Now, he's kept his eyes on the table. Bobby has kept his eyes on the table for most of this interview. So I wanted to use that to indicate that this, do you need a lawyer, Bobby? Why did you kill Whitney? Was the thing that made him meet the detective's eyes. So I chose to keep that in.
I touched on this just now in adverbs, but the really big one is show, don't tell. I kind of mentioned this before, but instead of saying Jake was nervous, you could do something like Jake's palms were sweaty and he kept glancing at the clock every 10 seconds. That's a much better description of what's actually happening and tells us more about Jake than just saying he was nervous. That is way too generic. You don't want to give facts, you want to give experience so you can connect the reader directly into the story. That will keep them hooked and engaged. These are things you can keep in mind as you go or as you go back and edit. Let me know in the comments which one of those you struggle with. Like I said, the adverb one is the one I really have trouble with. If you found this video helpful, give me a like and then subscribe so you get more book and writing content just like this. Thank you for watching. I sincerely appreciate you. And if you recently subscribed, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hopefully you will be one of the watchers during my live video that wins a prize.